Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Fuel and Thrive Coaching Podcast. My name is Daisy and hello whether you're new or a returning listener. I am talking about perimenopause and fat loss today because I got asked in my DMs, someone messaged me and asked if I worked with women in their late 40s or in their 40s who are struggling with perimenopause, and I was like, yeah, because most of my clients have or are, I would say about 80% have been struggling or are in this phase of life. And I was like, I clearly don't talk about it enough. And it's something that, the majority of women struggle with or will struggle with at some point in their life. And last week we talked about the cycle, and obviously when you're perimenopause or your hormones are all over the place, it's not a regular cycle. It can throw a lot at you. And learning how to navigate it with fat loss is really important because this is a time in your life where your body will change or may change. And there are actually ways to navigate it. So that's what I am talking about today. There's a big misconception about your metabolism. Like, I get a lot of people saying, as soon as I hit 40, my whole body changed. I'm not doing anything differently. The things that I've tried in the past don't work anymore. And I just want to give you some truth. So it's actually empowering to know the truth, I think, because knowledge and facts are going to give you the power when you're at a time of your life where you feel like that power is being taken away from you and you can't control anything. So from the ages of 20 to 60, our basal metabolic rate, so our metabolism, doesn't reduce. So if you are gaining weight, and you feel like you're not changing anything, it's probably a culmination of small lifestyle factors that you didn't really realize were changing, moving less, eating more, and it kind of has added up over time. The only, maybe thing in regards to energy expenditure that might be like reducing your overall, as I say, energy expenditure, it's not really your metabolism, is that when we hit 40, our muscle wastes away essentially. So we lose like 8% per decade up to the age of 40, and then I think it's 15% per decade, which is quite a substantial amount. Muscle is metabolically expensive, so if you've got less muscle, you're expending less energy at rest. So I'm going to circle back to this, but if you haven't guessed it already, strength training is a huge part of maintaining or like building a physique that you enjoy at this stage of life, as well as staying healthy. But I'll circle back. I get too excited and I kind of like run ahead of myself. So you might have experienced this. If you're listening to this, you may feel like you haven't changed anything, but your body has changed. Now, there is some truth to around this stage in life. We do tend to hold more body fat around our midriff, our middle section. So, it starts to sit around your thighs and your stomach more. And this seems to be like, I can understand how if your body is one shape all your life and then it starts to change. And in fact, a lot of the time, like, your weight doesn't change at all. It's just the way that your body fat starts to redistribute. And let me remind you, you can't spot reduce fat. I know that's annoying, but if you see any things that are like burned belly fat, like, they are just clickbaits. But again, I'll circle back to that. So like I said, your metabolism doesn't slow down, but your overall energy expenditure may drop ever so slightly because of a reduction in muscle mass, but it's not really that much. We do start to oh my God, why can't I get that out? We do tend to hold more fat around our midsection at this stage in life, and it's not the fact that, you've not changed anything because you must have changed something. Some lifestyle factors may be different. And it's really common to, even for a nutritionist, to underreport how much they're eating and overreport or overestimate how much activity. And remember, the same way that I'm always talking about sustainable fat loss is just a load of small actions over time, it works the other way too. So, you may not realize, it's very unlikely that this has happened overnight. And it's just been a culmination of your actions being slightly different over time. And it's usually lifestyle changes, but especially with perimenopause, it is the difficulties that come with perimenopause, like, for example, your lack of sleep. That may make you more hungry, and you might not realize that you're reaching for more starchy carbs or more faster energy, which there's nothing wrong with carbs, and I would never tell you to cut them out, but you might not realize that might be what you're doing. And your poor sleep may mean that you're moving less without even really realizing that you're doing it. And it's like, it's just a knock-on effect of the things that the hormones are doing to make your life a little bit harder, which I know that sucks. We do really get the raw end of the deal, but it is actually empowering, because once you're aware, that's when you can make the change. So you can start making a conscious effort to increase your protein, to increase your water intake, to eat whole foods, to work on your sleep hygiene, to move more. Like, you are now conscious. Now you know it's not really out of your control, although it sometimes feels like that, it's actually in your control and you have the power. So this is why coaching actually works really well for people during this stage of life, because first of all, it does cultivate that awareness that wasn't quite there before. I have a lot of people that come and say to me, I'm doing all the right things, but when we talk about it, it's like, actually they weren't really doing the right things. So you have someone to guide you, but also you have someone to ground you as well. Obviously, perimenopause can really affect your hormones, your mood, and you've got someone else to kind of center you, ground you, and guide you in the right direction and make you feel supported, which I haven't experienced it myself, but from speaking to many clients and many women who have experienced it, I can totally understand it's quite an isolating thing. It feels like it's just you, and as much as you've got a supportive husband or partner or friends, like maybe they've not gone through it themselves, or people don't really understand unless they've gone through it themselves. So having a coach to ground you can really help in this stage of your journey. And essentially, fat loss is not different for you if you're going through perimenopause or if you're not going through perimenopause. It may feel like the same things don't work anymore, but it's just because it's a little bit harder with all of the hormonal changes that you're going through. And I'm sorry for that. And I wish it was different, but unfortunately it isn't. But it's essentially the same things that I would say to someone who wasn't experiencing that, but we might take some more attention to your lifestyle factors. So I'm sidebarring back to this midsection fat loss thing, because I know that, as I say, it's a clickbait thing. You see, this 15-minute ab workout will reduce your belly fat. Like, no, I'm sorry, it won't. The only way to reduce your body fat or your belly fat is to lose weight, but it's going to come off your whole body. So everything will get smaller. So you're going to lose weight from all over your body, but proportionately, the belly is still going to feel a little bit bigger. So, we kind of have to move towards feeling not accepting, because well, it is accepting, not positivity. That's what I meant. Sorry, it is accepting, but not toxic positivity yourself. Like, oh, I love my belly. Like, it's okay not to love your belly, but moving to body neutrality and accepting, not accepting, like I said earlier, and accepting that this is just something that is happening. And, have a real appreciation for what your body has done for you throughout your life. For many people, it's housed children, and even if it hasn't housed children, it's kept your hormones, it's kept you functioning, it's let you be here today, essentially. And our body's got to do what our body's got to do, and we can do certain things to kind of help that in other elements, and I'll get into that just now, but we can't completely get rid of it. And if you don't accept that, then even if you lose weight, you're never going to be happy with what you get. So it's really important in this journey you start to work towards body neutrality, body acceptance, oh my gosh, wow, I really can't speak today. Sorry, probably a wrong day. It's 32 degrees. I don't want to have the window open because that would make noise, or my fan. So I'm literally just sitting here very hot and sweaty right now. So, but I wanted to get a podcast out to you guys. So body acceptance and starting to appreciate what our body can do and does do for us. Now, if you're new here, you may or may not have well, you won't have heard me say this before, but if you're not new here, you've probably heard me say it before. I will say it time and time again. Strength train, strength train, strength train. It is going to be a huge, huge factor that is going to change your body shape. It's going to help you age well because it builds muscle, and it also builds bone density, or maintains bone density. So it can prevent osteoporosis, which even if you're not like susceptible to it, if it's not in the family, it still can happen to you, and it's still something you don't want to happen to you. And it will help you build a strong body and focus on what your body can do. Like, it's so empowering to start to focus on lifting a new heavy weight rather than just focusing on hitting the smallest number on the scale. And it is really, really going to start to change your body. So yes, we can't spot reduce or reduce that belly fat as much as we like, but what you can do is focus on building stronger shoulders and back, so it gives you the illusion of having a smaller waist, building out the glutes so that it's more proportionate to the belly, that kind of thing. We can start to build your body, build your areas, those areas, to create that hourglass shape, or build it in a functional way that makes you feel like the belly is proportionate to the body. And I'm just going to say this, like, I don't mean to upset anybody, but I'm just spitting truth. Reformer Pilates and pump classes or group training classes in the gym do not count as strength training. And you also have to be lifting weights that challenge you. And 3 kilos doing a lunge does not challenge you. Or lifting up, I see parents lifting up their children, and then they go into a weight room and they pick up 3 kilos. For some exercises, yes, but for like bigger full body exercises, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure your child is heavier than that. And it's kind of like that light bulb moment of like, oh yeah, I'm really underestimating what I can do. So I don't have any beef with Reformer Pilates. I am a yoga teacher as well, so I really appreciate having like a balanced a balanced training program. And I think having Reformer Pilates in there, if you like doing it once or twice a week in with your strength training, is great. And it's really good for building up the stabilizing muscles, which is also a really important part of strength. But you're not going to be, even though you feel the burn, you feel the pump, you're not going to be building that muscle that you want to. Even if you feel it burn in your glutes, you're building muscular endurance rather than building hypertrophy and strength. And the only way to do that is to follow a program and to increase your weights or your reps, or increase the challenge every single week. And that's why group classes don't really work as well, because they might, if you've gone from doing nothing and then you start doing these things, then of course it's a new challenge on the muscle, but there's like a ceiling to how much you can build. So if you are starting doing all your group classes and that gets you into the gym, that's great. But there will come a point where if you actually want to, even though you feel like it's working, if you actually want to build muscle and start to build a shape, then you have to do it in a more of a structured way. And you have to be working with weights that challenge you. And doing it at this stage in life is even more important than when you are younger. Like, it's better to start early, but it's never too late to start. And I know it's something new, and I know that the gym can be really scary, but even if you're just start with like 2 20-minute workouts with adjustable dumbbell set at home, and then you move to the gym and you do it with dumbbells just in your corner, and then you start to get more comfortable with being in the gym. But like, even just an hour a week can completely change everything for you. So that's going to be my number one, is to strength train in a progressive way. And if you're feeling a little bit lost with that, I do offer, part of my coaching is building a strength training program that suits you. So, do reach out to me if you feel like this is an area that you need help with. And then the other thing that I think is really important is so a lot of people coming into this stage of life now have been a victim of diet culture, which is, no carbs, skip meals, that kind of thing. Structure your meals and aim to eat 3 meals a day, maybe 1 or 2 snacks, and each meal focuses on protein and whole foods. So the thing is, when we try and cut out meals, usually what happens is that you graze, you never get full, and you don't even realize how much you end up eating when you're grazing. It's much better to plan and structure your meals, have 3 meals a day, high protein, whole foods, and that way you're going to feel so much fuller, and it's going to be much easier to stick to that calorie deficit. And always make sure you're sitting down to eat undistracted. Like, never, if you're grabbing something from the cupboard and just eating it standing, it's so easy to overeat those things. Plate up your meals, sit down, only eat when you're eating at a planned meal time, and it's going to be so much easier to maintain your weight that way. And don't cut out the foods you enjoy. A lot of people cutting out, say, oh, no sugar or no carbs. Like, unless that's a way you don't like sugar, unless you don't like carbs, that's really not going to help you, because what tends to happen is what we resist persists. You end up overeating it at another point. And we actually need carbs for energy. So if you're already feeling crappy because you haven't slept well, and then you're cutting out carbs too, your energy is going to be on the floor. No way you're going to want to eat well or go out for a walk or, go and do your workout if your energy is already down the toilet. You don't need to cut carbs. I think me and a friend of mine said mostly whole food, some soul food. So I always say that there's some food that is good for your body and some food is good for your soul. And a healthy diet actually consists of both. And yeah, just don't restrict anything, because it's actually going to end up making you miserable. I promise you that the same thing is going to work for you. It's literally just that awareness. And looking at your lifestyle factors a little bit more than maybe someone that doesn't have an issue with those. The other thing I would definitely say is to, when you're measuring your progress, look at progress in other areas like your energy, your sleep, and all those kind of things. But if we are using scale weight, to use measurements instead of scale weight. So I would take your scale weight at the beginning when you start your journey, and then I would only weigh in once every 30 days, because hormones all over the place, they can absolutely fluctuate massively up and down. That can really impact water retention. Like, you can go up and down by 2 kilos overnight, and it can feel really disheartening. And obviously water retention is going to affect your measurements as well, but it's going to be in a lesser way. That's not very good English, but you know what I mean. So I would really encourage using measurements and just taking the scale away and just focusing on your daily actions and taking off those protocols and not letting the scale be the thing that determines whether you carry on or not, because so many factors beyond body fat can affect the scale, and especially if it's like up and down overnight. If you haven't listened to the other podcast I did, I think it was episode 2 or 3, about how to use the scale in a fat loss phase, and I definitely recommend listening to that. And it's so much more prevalent when you're going through perimenopause, because, as I say, the hormones are all over the place. If you really, really struggle with symptoms from perimenopause, then I definitely think it's worth asking or talking to your doctor about HRT. I know that there is a lot of kind of fear mongering over the potential side effects of HRT, but it's definitely that fear mongering. When you look at the research is in favor of it, but it's a decision that's up to you, and something that you should speak to your doctor about if you feel like you are really struggling with the symptoms. And before you start paying through the nose for all of these happy hormone supplements, which probably really don't do anything, unfortunately, and are just money drainers, like, look at your lifestyle factors. Look at how you're eating. Look at how you're sleeping. So we want to prioritize sleep, because obviously poor sleep affects hunger hormones and can increase those cravings. So things that can help with sleep hygiene: giving yourself a bedtime, cutting down your screen time before bed, and maybe reading, stretching, meditating. This has worked with a few of my clients. That's really helping at the moment. And I know that, like, heat, being hot at night, can really impact you. So I would suggest having a fan or air conditioning or something, cool sheets. Invest in some cool sheets. I've got a Philips Tower fan, and I'm a really hot sleeper, and honestly, even since I've had that, it's just on me. My partner hates it being cold, and I just love it being cold, and it really, really, really helps me sleep. I know I'm not experiencing that, but it's been a game changer for me for sure, so I'm definitely sharing that tip. Having a ice pack in the freezer ready to go with a wet towel, so that if you do wake up and you need some instantly be cooled down, just grab that out the freezer, pop it on your wrist and your neck, and that will help cool you down. Sleeping with like a cool wet towel across you, that can help cool down your body temperature as well. So trying these things, really, really focus on your sleep. It's so underestimated, and honestly, with perimenopause, obviously it's a huge factor. And being accepting of your moods, like, don't be frustrated with yourself when you have these mood swings. I think finding some self-care or stress relievers, whether that's walking or reading or journaling or painting, or something that you can do quickly or implement into every day that helps to kind of get out that stress. And I think, like, walking is a huge one. And stress can be a big, Stress can be like a big impact on your cortisol levels. I don't want you to be scared of cortisol levels, and I want you to not also be sucked into all of these things on Instagram or TikTok now that are like, I just balanced out my cortisol levels and I lost X amount of weight. Like, it's all down to lifestyle factors. It is down to, like, your body doesn't store onto excess body fat. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. It's just kind of simple like that. So, managing your stress with breath work, mindfulness, maybe reducing caffeine, like not drinking any caffeine after 2:00. And if you notice that caffeine has a big impact on you, then maybe switching for decaf or herbal teas and things like that. Keep your movement up. I would recommend, tracking your steps. Even if you don't want to track your steps all the time, it's quite good as a way to just get into a bit of a walking routine, see how much 8, 10, 12, whatever it is that you're going to do steps is, how much walking per day, and then you can just make sure that you do that many walks per day if you don't want to track your steps. And just balancing out that meal, high protein. Like, women really, really, really underestimate how much, or undereat on protein, and it is so important for, like, keeping you full, building muscle, maintaining muscle, and, like I said, especially keeping you full. Carbs are important for energy and recovery, so making sure that your nutrition is including those things. You don't have to track calories. You can start by looking at just simply doing 3 meals a day, increasing your protein, and seeing how that goes. I use a method with my clients called the flexible day framework, where we kind of track for some of the day and leave a big buffer for dinner, and that way it's not so isolating. You can enjoy meals with your family and things like that, but you know that you're generally eating in a calorie deficit. And all of those things, it's literally similar to what I would say with someone who wasn't experiencing perimenopause. But I just think the biggest thing is going to be protein and strength training. And it's going to change. You'll be so surprised at how much your body will change. And shifting our focus from how small can I get myself to like how strong can I get? And fat loss is almost like a byproduct of that if you are eating in a calorie deficit. I would really also recommend taking creatine, because the research around creatine is insane. It helps with muscle health, so it helps to maintain muscle mass and strength, which, deteriorates as we get older, as I've already talked about. It supports brain fog function and memory, so reducing brain fog, which is common during perimenopause. Helps with energy and recovery, so helps you feel more energized, reduce fatigue, and that's going to improve like your workout or your ability to go on your walks and things like that. And there is some research that it may help with the mood swings and symptoms of low estrogen. So I would 100% recommend taking that. For perimenopausal women, 10 grams of creatine per day. Usually the normal dosage is 3 to 5, but the research shows that women might need more during this time due to lower natural creatine storage and higher demands during perimenopause, because your body's going through a lot. So increasing that to 10 grams. If you do experience any bloating from creatine, just break it down into 2 lots of 5 grams. And I would also say, I'm not really a supporter of those most supplements, but the basic supplements, a whey protein, that's really good. That's going to help you get your protein up. Creatine and a Brazil nut a day, because that is going to support your thyroid function. And with poorer thyroid function, it does affect your hormones and your metabolism, which you don't want to do. So selenium that you get from a Brazil nut can help that. And then just vitamin C and vitamin D, the ones that I usually recommend. So, maybe look at those supplements, but before you start forking out for all these other supplements, spend 30 days working on these things that I've just talked about and see if you need them after that. Also, like I said, speak to your doctor and see if, do discuss HRT if that is something that you feel okay to do. So just to round up, because I feel like I've just spurted out a lot of information at you. So I'm just going to round up. Resistance training, at least an hour a week, and how you split that up is up to you. Following a structured program and working with challenging weights. Increase your daily protein intake, making sure for most women we should be eating at least 100 grams a day. And, when I start working with people, probably sitting around like 50, 60. So it's a real conscious effort to bring up that protein. Add creatine into your day, 10 grams. Really focus on managing your stress and prioritizing sleep to optimize your body for fat loss, to increase your ability to be adherent, to increase your ability to have the energy to do the things that you need to do. Stay clear of any extreme diets. You are already experiencing a very hard time of your life. Make it easy to stick to. That is a small, sustainable deficit focusing on daily actions, small habits, moving away from the all or nothing mindset, and just being consistent with these. Now, I know it may sound just kind of like, oh, simple, and you might still feel a little bit lost, and you might still feel like you need a bit more direction. And that is where I come in, because I work, as I say, I've worked with many perimenopausal women, and just by taking the decision to work together, they change everything. And it's not like it takes a really long time. It's just by having that guidance, that support, that direction, someone to ground you, can completely change. It's like I was saying earlier, it's just having an awareness, and an awareness and knowledge is empowering. And when we work together, we can do that together. I can give you that knowledge. I can give you that direction. We can make you feel empowered, and we can get you feeling in great shape and amazing. So if you would like to learn more about working with me, whether you're perimenopausal or not, but I assume if you made it to the end of this episode, you are experiencing this, then please do drop me a message. So in the show notes, I've got all of my details. You can check out my website. You can send me a WhatsApp if you've got any questions, and they've also got my coaching application form in there as well. So check out all of that, and have a listen to the rest of the episodes. I'm trying to bring out an episode every week. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, please do. Again, that's in the show notes. And yeah, I think that's everything I need to say to you. But I will probably do some more episodes on perimenopause. This was kind of like a broad spectrum. I would love to do a Q&A from you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free just to WhatsApp them to me, and then I can put them into another episode. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I will speak to you next time. Bye.